Hello, everyone, and welcome to 0 to 08 Pointless Football Podcast for fans and non-fans alike. Where we pit someone who knows some football, that would be me, Fixxxer, against someone who knows absolutely nothing about football, that would be he, Tulkas. Hey, Tulkas.
Rejoice that we're cutting out the whole, look, talk for an hour about how a fight would play out segment. Ooh.
Yeah, because it's starting to feel old.
Yeah, I agree, We're evolving. This is great. It's like evolution. Giddy up.
Speaking of evolution, last week, my record was 12-2, and your record was 10-4.
Ooh, that's a solid record.
Yeah, we had a good week. I am now currently 79-43 for the season. You are 66-56.
12-2. That's interesting. I wonder what happened to make your you so predictable. I don't know.
I don't know, but I feel like I should start gambling some money.
Yeah, maybe as the season goes on, you're able to compile more data.
Yeah, that's very true.
How long does the season last anyway? Is this 16 weeks?
Technically 17 weeks, and then there's playoffs.
Okay.
There's 16 games, but because every team has one bye, it's 17 weeks.
Okay, so we have 80. So we have 8 more weeks, and then there's playoffs, and then magic will happen.
Yeah. Super Bowl is usually in February.
Ooh, yeah. I've been there. I've been there. I've been to the Super Bowl.
But of course, there's fewer games to predict, so the podcast will be very short by then.
I mean, I haven't been to the Super Bowl. They had a weird party around. I was walking around. And they were,
that's right. They did have one recently at your place, didn't they?
Yeah, it was 2008 or something. But yeah.
Is that terribly recent? All right, anyways, let's start out by going over the buys for this week. The teams that will not be playing are Arizona, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, New York Giants, and Philadelphia. Yeah, you can't.
All my favorite teams.
There's no Browns in there. You can still play on the Browns.
Ooh, okay. We're rooting for Browns this week. It'll be fun.
All right, so first game of the week is Thursday night. This, unfortunately, is being recorded after Thursday night, so our picks, this is going up afterwards. Anyways, we did our picks on Twitter beforehand, just so we couldn't cheat, and we both picked the Raiders. And I'll tell you,
I didn't do a pick on Twitter. I did.
Well, you relayed your pick to me, and I put it on Twitter.
Oh, giddy up.
So, the reason why I chose Oakland was because David Carr had 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Their defense let the Colts put up 42 points on them, and they lost. The Colts did. The 49ers, they blew a fourth quarter lead to the Cardinals last week and lost the game they should have won. And I said, look for Kittle to have a good game against the Raiders defense that doesn't do well against tight ends. If Carr and his offensive line can repeat what they did last week, they can win. And I picked the Raiders.
I was also pretty confident that the Raiders would win. I mean, the idea was, the 49ers, they're lusting after gold. They're in the little springs and whatever, doing their prospect and stuff. And then the Raiders, they're just going to swoop in, grab the gold while the camps are relatively undefended, and then swoop out. And I mean, the 49ers won't really be able to organize a resistance. And I'm not sure how I was wrong in that, but apparently the Raiders they just fumbled, man. They just couldn't raid. You can't be a Raider and not raid. It's sad.
It was a blowout. It was, and what made it was more than a blowout. It was humiliating, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. 3 hours before kickoff, the 49ers announced that their quarterback was injured, and now keep in mind this was their backup quarterback because their starting quarterback is injured for this year. He's out. He's gone with an injury. So their backup got injured, and their third stringer was called up 3 hours before game time. Is like, hey, we need you to play in a football game or something. And this is a guy who's never played in an NFL game before.
Yeah.
So He comes out on the field and he has one of the best debut games in NFL history.
Ooh, Nick Mullins, my boy. Okay, Nick Mullins is my new favorite football player after Fitzmagic. Actually, I heard people saying that Fitzmagic was got promoted to a new porter thingy, and that was cool.
We'll cover that when that comes to it, but yes. So it was after the game. The sideline reporter was interviewing Nick Mullins, and he couldn't handle himself emotionally, and he broke out in tears.
Oh, that's so adorable.
So he's become somewhat of a fan favorite now. Anyways, that is something that we should be discussing next week's podcast. So let's move on to the Sunday early games. Atlanta Falcons at the Washington Redskins. So the Redskins traded for HaHa Clinton-Dix from the Packers, showing that they're committed to winning this year. And they only had to give up a fourth round pick. They got a pretty good player for that price. And this came after their win versus the Giants, where Peterson had almost 150 yards and a touchdown, and their D had 7 sacks on Eli. Peterson is quietly having one of the best seasons of an old person ever. I don't know where. For a running back, I should say, because quarterbacks, they can go a little bit longer. Some can, okay. Anyways, adding Clinton-Dix will make an already good defense that much better. The Falcons, they're coming off a bye week after also defeating the Giants, and surprisingly, they are a 1.5 spread favorite here.
What is the unit?
Huh?
What's the unit for their wing spread? Is that feet or inches?
It's centimeters, Tulkas.
Ooh, that's not a 1.5. I think Falcons are larger than 1.5 centimeter wing spreads, but okay.
So one cheap, cheesy way you can do pick'ems for football is just choose what Las Vegas chooses, right? Because they don't screw around. They want shit to be as accurate as possible. They're usually pretty good at picking football games. So anyways.
Fixxxer said a bad word.
Oh, yes, I did. Anyways, I think they're wrong here. I think the Falcons are the second worst team against the run, and Peterson having his fantastic season for an old person, quote-unquote old person, I think the Redskins win.
Yeah, I guess, the Redskins probably good at the old archery thing. They can go and pick them out of the sky. And then if the Falcons have a 1.5 centimeter wingspan, which I don't believe, but if they did, then they can't do anything. So I guess Redskins, they can go How would you rate my archery sound effects?
2 out of 10.
Giddy up.
Next up, the Detroit Lions are playing at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings shot themselves in the foot against the Saints, and they lost the game. You just can't make mistakes like that versus a good team like the Saints. They're still banged up. They have new injuries to account for. Diggs and Joseph are both listed as questionable. In fact, I think I read this morning that Diggs will be out. But I don't know if that's on the official injury report. They put another receiver from the practice squad onto the roster, which usually means Diggs is probably not going to play. But anyways, they're both listed as questionable alongside Rhodes, Cook, Sendejo, Reef, Barr, and Compton. These are starters. That's 8 starters that are probably not going to play. They might get 1 or 2 guys in there. But anyways, moving on to the Lions, they traded Golden Tate to the Eagles for a 3rd-round pick next year. Golden Tate is on the last year of his contract, so they wanted to get a little bit of value on him in fear that he was going to leave them. But I'm not so sure that would have happened. In fact, don't be surprised if Golden Tate signs with the Lions again next season. He enjoyed his time there, and he likes playing with Stafford. I think he'll be back. Anyways, maybe the Lions just thought that Galladay's emergence was a good way to save some money and dumping Tate. Look for Stafford to go after whichever 2nd or 3rd stringer the Vikes field, such as Hill, because of their cornerbacks being all injured. The Lions wide receivers have always given the Vikings fits, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Look for Thielen to break the 100-yard game streak and the Vikings to win.
Okay, so you think the Vikings are gonna win? Well, I mean, we have our Lions. They're all like powerful cats, and then we have the Vikings. I mean, I guess they're fighting at the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota is the land of the lakes. The Vikings, they can just like sail off on their. In a previous week, I've probably addressed whether or not the Lions can swim. Do you remember if that happened?
It did, but I don't remember what the conclusion was.
I think the conclusion was they don't like to swim.
I think they can, but they don't like to, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that makes sense. The Vikings, they can just sail out onto the lake. And then, what are the Lions going to do? I mean, the Vikings probably have enough provisions to last a while. I mean, they're making, trips on sea. They might get a bit scurvy, but a bit of scurvy never hurt anyone. Have you ever had scurvy, Fixxxer?
That's one of the few ailments I have not had.
Ah! Cool. So, bucket list item for you then. But yeah, I mean, the Detroit Lions, eventually they're just gonna, they are adapted for the savannah. They can't hang out in Minnesota in November for too long. They'll get cold. So yeah.
All right. Next up, the New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins. The Finns lost to the Texans last week, and Osweiler had a mediocre game. Had as a mediocre game as you can possibly have. Tannehill will be out again this week, and their defense got steamrolled. The Jets got pushed around by the Bears in a 24-10 loss. Not a lot worth writing about, quite frankly. It's hard to do pick'ems with the Jets, frankly, and the Dolphins too. I guess I could say. You never know who's going to show up. It's literally a coin flip in this game. I think Gore and Drake should have a good day, so I guess I'll go with the Dolphins.
So why are the Finns doing battle? I don't get it.
The Dolphins. The Finns is a nickname.
Oh, the Dolphin. Oh, I thought you were talking about Weird Metamuntia.
No, how many N's are in that word there?
Oh, well, there's one, but I mean, you sort of have a track record for typos, so you can't put too much stuff.
Only when I'm heavily medicated.
Oh
and
yeah,
on 2 hours of sleep.
Mr. David Carr Hod, 240 yards, sure, but okay. So yeah, I mean, Jets probably can't.
Wait a minute. I typed that up 2 hours before my ass was in the hospital. I get a pass.
Oh. Well, when did you type this Finns thing?
Same time.
You see? So that means I am justified in suspecting there might be typos involved.
Nope. Anyways, what's your pick? What are you doing? What's going on?
Well, I mean, the Jets, they can't really, their missiles can't really go around. This is why submarines exist, right? So that, they can't be found by Air Force. Is that why submarines exist? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they're not hiding necessarily from the Air Force. They're probably hiding more from destroyers that are sitting atop of the water.
Oh.
And they could take those out easier.
Yeah, but I mean, airplanes probably still struggle to drop torpedoes on especially when dolphins. They're pretty nimble. They're dodging around, and then they're.
I suppose who owns the equipment and which age they are doing this in. In the current age, I don't think they'd have a problem. I mean, they have missiles on subs too, right? Can't they shoot shit out of the water up at jets in the sky?
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean that. Oh dear, Oh, okay. So you're gonna have to edit this out. Can jets hit submarines?
Bing it. Definitely bing it.
Anti-submarine warfare. Okay. Anti-submarine warfare is a branch of underwater warfare that uses surface warships, aircraft, or other submarines to find, track, and deter damage or destroy submarines. It depends on a mix of sensor and weapon technology, training, and experience. Sophisticated sonar equipment is a key element, and then torpedoes and naval mines are launched from air, surface, and underwater platforms. Okay, Now the question then is, I mean, dolphins communicate using sonar, don't they?
Yes.
Dolphin. Okay. Although some dolphins have used sound. Okay, so the question is, can sonar locate dolphins? Okay. Can sonar locate dolphins? Sorry for taking so
Yeah,
long.
but they don't know. I don't think they would know it's a dolphin. They would just know it's a biologic.
But I mean the jets. I mean, would the jets have like limited rocketry? Like, do they have limited torpedoes?
Yes,
Okay,
they do.
so they can't just go, shooting at anything that moves. And I mean,
No. They're definitely limited.
In Miami, there's probably like manatees. You don't want to kill the manatees. Would you kill a manatee if you could fix the TV?
No, my sister would probably kill me because manatees are her favorite animal.
Oh, you have. Oh, right. I remember the sister. Like you had. Wasn't she present in the story? No, she wasn't. Like you had the story about how like the dude bashed his head on the nail. And then there was another story, and I think the sister. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go with dolphins.
Okay.
Rebel.
All right, moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens ran into a red-hot Panthers team in their usually stingy defense. Got Cam Newton all over. Connor and the Steelers gave the Browns a drubbing. He had almost 150 yards on the ground and another 66 in the air, but he hasn't seen a defense like this one before. Don't be surprised if he gets completely shut down. Flacco and Snead, I think, will have a good day. However, I did read this morning that the Ravens, both of their offensive tackles, are going to be out. So this could be a bust for me. I'm going to stick with my pick, though. I'm going to go with the Ravens beating the Steelers.
Ooh. Actually, so I was watching DC's Legends of Tomorrow, the CW episode, and there was like the fairy godmother was calling down ravens, and then there's also Citizen Steel who has the ability to turn into steel. So I guess that's not relevant. Anyway, this is a tricky one because I mean, like, the Steelers. I mean, they're pretty, they're steely, but I mean, they can't really attack the Ravens. And I mean, Ravens are really clever. So, if anyone's going to figure out how to penetrate the Steelers, it's going to be the Ravens. I mean, Ravens like shiny things, don't they? So, I don't know. This is what do you think, Fixxxer? What do you think?
Obviously, I think the Ravens, but I did put a little caveat that since I've made this pick, they've had two injuries, two players that are not going to be there that will affect, I think, how well they're going to play. But I'm going to stick with my pick. Okay,
so I mean, Ravens, they have like supernatural powers. I mean, if they go mobbing the Steelers, I mean, they can only stay. They're just going to peck, and then eventually they'll wear down the steel, right? Is that the way things work?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I don't know what to do. Okay, we'll say that this one might be a Diesel pick, so I'm going to say Diesel. But for now, I'll go with Ravens, I guess.
All right, moving over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. The Buccaneers benched Winston after he had tossed 4 interceptions in favor of Fitzmagic, who almost brought the team back to a win. Yeah. Expect Fitzmagic to keep the starting job, I feel, and I did type that before they announced that he was going to start. I think the team is his now. I think Winston, his time is over in Tampa Bay. Anyway, and if you want to get all genie in a bottle on this, expect someone to give him a big contract after this season, where he will then shed his Fitzmagic disguise. And he will reveal himself to be Fitztragic, Tulkas. He will go back to the old Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's done it like 3 times already. It's history repeats itself. Anyways, moving on to Cam and the Panthers. They're having a good season. I know that Cam has a green light to run the ball and all, but at some point they need a real running back to step up. Expect Cam to wreck this defense. But can the Panthers defense shut down Fitzmagic? I think they can contain them. Maybe not shut them down, but I think they'll contain them enough for them to win. Panthers win.
Yeah. It was so exciting at work. Like on my lunch break, like ESPN was on, and they're like, Fitzpatrick is signed as like quarterback, and I was like, Fixxxer will be so thrilled. He'll be shaking in his little Fixxxer boots. Yeah, I think Panthers win too.
I have little Fixxxer boots.
Yeah, you have your little Fixxxer boots that you shake it. Isn't that cute?
Kansas City Chiefs are playing at the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns fired their head coach Hugh Jackson and their offensive coordinator. Long time coming, quite frankly. Long time hated Greg Williams is the interim coach. I think that they'll keep him till the end of the year. They probably won't make him head coach for next year, though. I think they'll hire someone else. The Chiefs, well, nothing has really changed. Mahomes is making a case for MVP, and their defense showed up a little bit last week versus the Broncos. This should be a stomp, which kind of gives it the characteristics of a trap game. Look for Chubb to have a big day, and if they can keep him going and not turn the ball over, then possibly a trap game. But I can't do it. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
I mean, yeah, I mean the Chiefs, they're adapted. I mean, they're not adapted. Like they're good at working with nature, and brown is sort of like the color of nature, and like the whole Native American philosophy of like you use everything you can and have as little waste as possible, and like brown is generally the color of waste. It's what happens to stuff after it decomposes. It turns brown. So like the Chiefs are going to be in tune with landscape. And I mean the brown is going to try to be like, ooh, we're brown, we're like decomposed material, raw. And the Chiefs will be like, we are attuned to the cycle of decomposition, and we will win. Do you think? I don't think that's anything. I'm going to say Diesel. This will be another one for Diesel to choose from.
Well, you're passing all your responsibilities off onto Diesel.
I've passed 2 out of 9 onto Diesel.
All right, next up, the Houston Texans are playing at the Denver Broncos. The Broncos had a respectable loss to the Chiefs last week, but a 3-5 team needs more than respectable losses. They did trade away Demaryius Thomas to the Texans, whom they're facing this week. Feels like the Broncos are willing to wave the white flag this season. On the other hand, Deshaun Watson surely is ecstatic to have Thomas next to Hopkins after they lost Fuller for the season. That's a pretty good wide receiving duo. Watson had 240 yards and 5 touchdowns last week versus the Dolphins. I think he'll continue to have good games as long as his offensive line doesn't get him killed. It's going to be a bit harder against the Broncos, though. As much as I want to pick the Texans here, I can't forget the fact that their offensive line is just plain old bad, Tulkas. Despite the fact that they played well last week. And the Broncos should rough up Watson. I think the Broncos will win.
So this is a pretty classic tech matchup. The Broncos are the spirit of the untamed horse. And the Texans are the ones seeking to come to tame the horses so they can go like lasso cattle and take it up to Chicago to sell, because that's what the Texans do. Is it not Fixxxer TV?
Well, in 2018, it's more like automobiles, but yes.
Oh, so you're thinking that these more modern-day Texans may be unacquainted with the art of taming the Bronco.
Well, lots of people from like Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, they purchase automobiles down there. They ship them up to Chicago, Detroit, Boston, and New York, and sell them up there. And do you know why?
Why?
Salt. Because when in the winter time, the states up there, most of them, not all, and they put salt on the roads to get rid of the ice. And when you have all that salty slushiness, it bounces up into the undercarriage of the vehicles and it rusts them out. So aged cars up there are pretty rusty, and aged cars down in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona are not rusty. So they sell those cars at a premium in the north.
Oh, Wow.
Today you learned.
So the Texans have gone from using the Broncos to herd cattle to using the lack of snow to I don't know. But okay, I guess that means the Broncos they can just buck off. I mean, the Texans have rodeos. I know some Texans.
Keep in mind, Tulkas, that O.J.
Yeah.
Simpson once participated in a police chase in a Bronco
Oh,
in
I didn't know
California.
that. I remember
What do you mean
OJ.
you didn't know that?
I don't know about OJ Simpson. I know like he was on trial and then like he was found innocent and there was like race war or something. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Who was OJ Simpson? Was he like a wrestler?
He was a football player.
Oh, so it's like relevant. Ooh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it is. In fact, he was not just a football player. He was a very, very good football player.
Is he still alive?
Yes, unfortunately.
Could we organize a Strange Lives meetup with him?
I would not. Why would we do that? I would not want to meet O.J. Simpson.
We could do it so we could convince him to move to Svalbard with us.
He's a disgusting person. It's not going to happen.
Well, then he could get deported from Svalbard, and that would take the heat off of us for being deported.
Texans
Okay,
at Broncos.
Broncos win, whatever.
Los Angeles Chargers. This is the afternoon games, by the way. That's starting with the Texans at Broncos. Chargers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle scored 21 points in the second quarter and went on to beat the Lions. Honestly, when it comes to putting teams on their back and winning those fuck you games, Wilson is up there, just under Rodgers, Breeze, and Brady. Is that right?
A bad word.
It is. So anyways, Chargers are coming off a bye, and the week before that, they barely got by the Texans. Honestly, despite having winning records and hot streaks, these two teams have been kind of beating up on mediocre and bad teams. Only quality win between the two really was last week when Seattle beat Detroit. I think I'll stick with them. Seahawks win, and again, I am going against the Vegas spread in doing so.
Okay, so the Chargers, they're all about frontal assault. They're all about, one powerful charge, which means that they aren't really heavily armored because they need to, be less heavily armored so they can get their, light Lancer cavalry. They can just go in. But then the Seahawks, man, they can just swoop down and peck at the chinks in the armor and then win. Giddy up.
Cool. Wait, what? Who wins that battle?
Pecking.
The pecking wins. All right.
Yeah, pecking wins.
Next up, the Los Angeles Rams are at the New Orleans Saints. This is the game of the week. New Orleans is coming off a good win versus the Vikings, and the Rams squeezed by the Packers. Gurley is having the best season of his career, and that should continue, I think, against the Saints defense that has regressed. Don't be surprised if Gurley has 100 receiving yards. While Goff spreads the love to all his receivers, I think the Rams will win.
According to CatholicSaints.info/Saint-Giles/ in Spain, shepherds consider Giles the protector of rams. It was formerly the custom to wash the rams and color their wool a bright shade on Giles' feast day, tie lighted candles to their horns, and bring the animals down the mountain paths to the chapels and churches to have them blessed. Among the Basques, the shepherds come down from the Pyrenees on the 1st of September, attired in full costume, sheepskin coats, staves, and crooks. What's a crook?
A shepherd's crook.
Okay.
It's got a hook on the end for you can grab sheep by the neck.
Oh, you mean like the stereotypical thing. Okay, cool. To attend mass with their best friends.
Well, there's a reason. What do you mean stereotypical? Especially the era that you're talking about. They literally use those damn things.
Oh, I thought it was just a stereotype. Okay.
No. Well, I mean, I suppose you can call it. I mean, it is called a shepherd's crook.
I thought it was a walking stick.
No, it's not.
Okay. I guess I wouldn't make a good sheep farmer. An event that marks the beginning of autumn festivals, marked by processions and dancing. Hey, processions! It's like procession! Fixxxer, what is your fondest memory of procession?
I don't have one.
my least fond memory is when I lost, and my fondest memory has been with Jay Beatland's Nook in Crenny Games and Dancing in the Fields, one of the 14 Holy Helpers. Also, he is the patron saint of Edinburgh. He has the Betchin Cathedral there that's like, it's on the Royal Mile, and it's like, the biggest cathedral in Edinburgh. And it has a cool cafe attached that I like to eat at. And Maroka bought me a brownie there. So what do you think about that, Fixxxer TV? Your beloved Maroka bought me a brownie from St. Giles himself. What do you think that makes me, huh?
Did the brownie have or have no nuts?
No nuts.
Then I think Maroka's a swell guy. He's quite nice to give you a brownie.
I know, it was really sweet of him. Aww,
all right, so what's your pick?
Like this thing I just read, like it's cool and all, but I mean, it doesn't seem like Giles himself has any, like, it seems like, unless I'm wrong, it feels like they just sort of co-opted his feast day. Like, I'm not sure what property of Giles.
I mean, that's what all religions do. They co-opt someone else's crap.
Capitalism has never co-opted anything, thank you very much. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Rams, they can fly. As we've been over many times, the Rams can fly.
Yes, but the Saints have crooks.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't wield your crook if, like, the Ram is, like, coming in at you at, like, 10,000 miles an hour. That's, like, faster than the speed of light, Fixxxer TV. You can't stop that. I don't know. I mean, like, a crook or no crook. I mean, you just have this dude that didn't really do, like, come on. Like, you're trying to fight flying rams with the power of brownies. And I'm sorry, but brownies just aren't good enough. I mean, yeah, it's got to be Rams. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
All right, Sunday evening game. The Green Bay Packers are playing at the New England Patriots. The Packers traded away Clinton Dixon. It sure feels like they're giving up on the season, even though they say they're not. But at the same time, you can never, ever count Rodgers out. The Pats busted the Bills last week, but that doesn't really tell us anything, does it? The Pats gave the Chiefs. We're going back to Homestar Runner days there. The Pats, they gave the Chiefs their only loss. Going to stick with them. Pats win.
Cheat and Chiefs. Oh, yeah, Packers versus Patriots. I mean, I guess Patriots. Okay, so the Patriots struck a blow against the East India Company, which is pretty much, the closest thing to, industrialized, like, chain of supply kind of thing. And then, Packers are also like an industry chain of supply kind of thing. So maybe the Patriots are like, no, don't. I don't know what I'm saying. What do you think, Fixxxer TV?
Why do you ask me what I think after I've made my pick? I've literally just shared what I think.
Because I'm trying to stall for time.
Stall? Well, what do you... Oh, yeah. You're looking something up?
No. I'm just trying to think. Okay, fine. Patriots win. I mean, they dumped the tea in the harbor because of the taxes. So, I mean, what are the Packers going to do? I mean, they're trying to sell their meat to the Patriots, but I mean, the Patriots are going to tax that meat because, it's industry and they don't know what's going on.
However, the Green Bay Packers are the only team in professional sports that is owned by the citizens and not by a private owner. So the citizens would benefit from any kind of tax collection.
Well, the citizens of Green Bay would. I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, Green Bay... I mean, at this point, Green Bay was French. So, I mean, you're going to have, what, the Patriots are going to start, buying stuff from the French? I mean, we just had the 7 years French and Indian War thing, and they're not going to be buying stuff from the French. Why would you buy things from the French, living out fur trapping in Green Bay, and trying to pack all the beaver meat? I saw a beaver recently, actually. That was fun. But, yeah. Patriots. All the way. They beat the French once. They can beat the French again.
All right. Then Monday Night Football, the Tennessee Titans at the Dallas Cowboys. Both teams had a bye last week. Previously, the Titans almost pulled out a win against the Chargers, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, doesn't it, Tulkas?
Okay.
They have a 3-game losing streak. That's the Titans. The Cowboys are another hard pick this year. Who knows which team shows up? They got their overpriced Cooper now, and he may have a good game if he plays as he is listed as questionable at the time of this recording. So we don't know if he's going to be on the field. I think the Titans can stop Zeke, though, and I don't know who to pick here, quite frankly. This is a coin flip. Whoever I pick will surely lose, so I'll go with the Titans.
Okay, yeah, I think Titans will win too. I mean, like the Cowboys, they're probably in Age of Empires 3 being like, oh, we're Cowboys. Blah.
Do you feel pressured to pick the Cowboys?
Why would I feel pressured to pick the Cowboys?
Well, because Diesel is a big fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
And if you keep picking against his team, how do you know he's not going to start feeding you bogus information in retaliation?
Well, I mean, if I pick against his team and I lose, then surely that would be penance enough, would it not?
I don't know. Fans can be crazy. They are indeed fanatical.
So you're thinking that Diesel may be out to sabotage me. Tell me, was his pick last week correct? Okay, so insulted within the first minute feels bad, man. And hey, you pick the Cardinals too, Tulkas, I think, XD. Now go along with your pick of the Lions beating the Seahawks this week. Also, giddy up. So did the Lions beat the Seahawks?
They did not.
Okay, well, I mean, I also picked the Lions would pick the Seahawks. So, we can't. Yeah, I don't think we can. Yeah, I don't think we can judge him on that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Titans. I mean, there's no way the Cowboys are like, the Titans like, you open the Titan gate and then it like they jump out like Kerberos or the.
There's one thing to consider, Tulkas.
Yeah.
Cowboys are very popular right now. We have Red Dead Redemption 2, and Overwatch announced their new hero, which is a cowgirl. So. These Western folk are quite popular these days.
Well, I think you will find that Age of Mythology, The Titans, is more popular than any of them, as you would know if you had not redeemed the gift I sent you to play as a birthday present for me, because Maroka got me a brownie, but you get me nothing.
Featured game of the week. This is the last pick for the week. Chicago Bears are playing at the Buffalo Bills early on Sunday. We talk about the history of the team, how they got their name, and where they got started, that type of thing. So the Bears began in 1919 as the Decatur Staleys. You're a big Staleys fan, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I was massive into the Staleys.
The Staleys were named after a food starch company. Are you a big food starch fan?
Oh, I love the starchiness in the food. It's the best. It's what makes the food edible. Like I can't eat food without starch. I mean, you need the starch. You need the starch. It's like eating a brownie from St. Giles Cathedral with nuts. You don't do it.
So a couple years after that, they moved the team, the owner did, moved the team to Chicago, but he liked the name Staleys and he kept it. Only until he didn't. A year later, he decided to change the name, and they went with the Bears. So why did they choose the Bears, Tulkas?
Because of the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, because of the Chicago Cubs, and they wanted to be the mama bear to the Chicago Cubs. You do realize when you do that, I cut it out. Anyways, also worth mentioning, the Chicago Cardinals played around this time, but they were a different team. Over on the Bills side, the Bills came into the league in 1960, but they weren't the first team in Buffalo, Tulkas. Nor were they the second. The first would be the good old Buffalo All-Americans. That sounds very patriotic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anyways, the second was actually the Buffalo Bills, a different Buffalo Bills team, who were originally named the Bisons. The current Bills team was named in honor of the original Bills team. Other names they considered were the Nickels, the Blue Devils, and the Bullets. Do you think the Bills was a better choice?
Blue
Devils is kind of nice, but Blue Devils is kind of taken by Duke.
I think that's a DC hero, maybe. And Bullets kind of suck. I mean, if they were the Nickels, you could use them to stick it to all the dumb Europeans with the dumb European currency, so I like that.
There was a Washington Bullets professional basketball team. They still exist, but they changed their name. I don't know, like 8 or 9 years ago, because they're like, you know what? Maybe naming a team the Bullets was a bad idea, so they changed their name to the Wizards.
Ooh,
which I think is an awful name, but it's better than Bullets.
Okay, so if you were going to name a team, how would you name the team?
The Jackdaws.
Ooh, hey, Unidad! Woo-woo! You know what I would name a team, Fixxxer?
What would that be?
I would call them the Myrmidons.
That's an awful name.
I would be like, Myrmidons! My brothers of the sword. I'd rather fight alongside you than any army of thousands. Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions. You know what's waiting there, beyond that beach. Immortality! Take it! It's yours! Because you know that Myrmidon is like Greek for ant. So they would be like the ants. It would be like Ant-Man. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp yesterday. It would be cool. And also I think the Mama Bear thing for the bears.
Wait. How do you spell it?
Spell what?
Myrmidon.
Myrmidons.
Alright, so it's a different word than mer. M-E-R.
Yeah.
Because isn't that a Greek origin as well?
That's C, I would think. Maybe.
Alright, just want to make sure they were a different...
No. Myrmidon means ants, and it's also the name for the followers of Achilles.
Alright, so with the actual game, Peterman starts for the Bills. Bears smash him to the ground a lot. Bears win.
Yeah, I think Bears can do smashing. I mean, you said the Bills are kind of crappy, so you know the Bears, they're just going to go in and they're going to rumble.
Bears win?
There's something that Fixxxer was supposed to notice about this week that he hasn't noticed. He isn't very observant, Southron, today.
It's quite possible. What have I not noticed?
Oh, I'll let you figure it out.
Well, we're about to end the podcast. What are you talking about? It's time has come and gone.
I don't know. We'll let the viewers try to figure it out. Viewers, what has Fixxxer missed about this podcast? He's missed something pretty big about this podcast. In fact, you could say that he's been pranked this podcast, and he's missed the prank. So try to figure out what the prank is. And Diesel, I gave you 2 games to choose from. That's Steelers versus Ravens and Chiefs versus Browns. So you could do that, or you could not do that. That would help benefit the prank if you didn't do that. But we got to give Diesel his picks. He's my boy. He doesn't care if he's my boy. He's my boy, Diesel. He's like really old. Yeah, giddy up.
So you did a prank that only you are going to notice.
I think. Well, you'll notice it next week.
Will I? Did you change one of your picks?
No, the opposite, in fact.
You changed one of mine?
No. I did the opposite of changing one of my picks, and that's a prank.
What is the opposite? The opposite of changing one of your picks is not changing one of your picks.
Indeed it is.
That makes no sense.